Hello there! It's time for day 6, and today I learned about for loops and how to use the range. My first challenge was to calculate the average height between a number of students. So let's run this simple code here. Just input a bunch of different heights 70, 160, 50, no, 150, and so on. And the average height here is 165. So the code basically needs to add up all these 4 and divide it by the amount of inputs by 4. And then I wanted to round it to an even number. And because this is a for loop learning day, I had to do it in a for loop. And it was kind of tricky in the beginning to understand how to add together different heights, but yeah, with some googling it's always possible to work it out. So basically this for loop here, first I need to make a variable with the value 0, so we have something to add the heights to. So here, and for a normal loop, it goes through the list each iteration. So if I have these 4 values, we'll first go through 180, do the calculation, then we'll go to 170, 160, 150. Like I've written here, first it's I'll use different numbers that time. Actually, I can change that. Let's see here, where do I have these values? Here. Okay. So if I have these values here, the first iteration in the for loop, it will just do addition equals addition plus height. And now addition is the value of 0. So it's 0 plus the first thing in the student height list, 156. Then the next iteration, it will add the value of addition, which is now 156 plus 178. 334. Then we'll go on until it reaches the final step. And then in the end, I will just divide it by the amount of additions. Why did I have 1 n plus 1? Oh, yeah, because n starts from 0, of course. Yeah, so that's the first one. Now with the second challenge here. Here, I had to calculate the high score. So let's just run this one with example inputs. Okay, so the challenge here was to make a for loop and figure out which one is the highest score. So here I had to have an if statement within the for loop. So each iteration, it will go through and add, and each iteration, it will make so that the high score will take the value of score if it's higher than the previous one. So first iteration, it will just take 78. And then the next round, it will not take 65 because it's below 78. then it will take 89 because it's higher than 78, and so on. And then it will end up on 91 and print that out when all the iterations have looped through. I also learned that I did not need this else statement, because if it didn't have this part, it wouldn't do anything, so it doesn't really matter. Yeah, that's the simple one here. Now I had to use the range and a for loop. It's actually very similar to the first one, the way I did it at least. I had to add up every even number from 0 to 100. And in a range, it always starts with the first number and ends with the number just before this one. So here it would end at 100, not 101. And if I type this 2 in the end of the range, it will skip every second number, basically. So here it will go to every even number. So here in total, it's every iteration it just goes 0 plus 2, then 2 plus 4, and 4 plus 6, and so on until it reaches 2550, which is the combined value of all the even numbers from 0 to 100. Here I had a quite fun and challenging one. I had to, the challenge was to, when the number is divisible by 3, it should print. Okay, here I will do a list of 1 to 100. And if the number is divisible by 3, it will then print fizz instead of the number. If it's divisible by 5, print buzz instead of the number. And if it's divisible by both 3 and 5, it will print fizz buzz instead of the number. So here I can run it. Shoots out 7 to 5, is divisible by both, and so on. So here it also was a for loop and if statements within the for loop. And here I learned that I could make this quite a lot shorter. Here it works perfectly fine. But if I just started with this, the combination one, the if number, blah, 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 I can just, let's see here, we make this one here. We could probably do it like this. Here. Yes. Print fizz. Yeah. This is how much shorter it would be. I could just skip the indented if else statement in every if statement. So here it should work perfectly fine. Yeah. I just need to learn to make more efficient if aleph and else statements. Then I come to my 5th challenge here. It was the big one to make. a random generated password. Let's see here. First I need to do it like this. I basically have two versions. So let's run this thing. This password generator is that you need to choose how many letters you want, how many symbols you want, and how many numbers you want. So here I can take 2 letters, 2 symbols, 2 numbers, which is not a super good password, but yeah. And here it is, randomly generated numbers, randomly generated symbols, and letters, and in a random order. So I had some problem here, of course, to figure out the best ways. I found this very simple way to randomly generate randomly generate the amount of letters, symbols, and numbers I wanted to have. This easy random choices function here. However, I had to do it in a for loop way, of course. That was super tricky, and I didn't really figure it out. Because I didn't know. I thought I needed. Okay, in this for loop, let's say just describe this one. It goes through in a range from 1 to the number of letters I want, and each time it will make this list here. So password would be the password doesn't have any value now, it's just empty, but it will add the random letter, a random letter each iteration from, like, if I take 2 here, we take 1 to 3, and it will go through, and it will randomly add 2 letters. So if I wanted to get the randomly generated for them all 3, for the letters, numbers, and symbols, I would make 3 of these. 3 of these, just have the same one here in the start, which is annoying and takes a long time instead of this one. But I needed to learn for loops, so I totally get it why I needed to do that. And then I needed to make a final, like, shuffle the numbers, and that I solved actually. I just use this simple codes and this random stuff, random function. So I just shuffled everything, and then I used a for loop to add them together in a nice looking way. So here it will just add a random number each time. So it comes out like, so first I shuffle it into the list, and then I just add the list together like this. So that was the final challenge for today. And tomorrow I'm about to do some Linux challenges. It's kind of see if I remember everything I've learned. But thank you for listening, and have a good day.